guys, this is Kayla.
This is Becky with A Couple of Beats Read, and we're going to do something a little different, or something we haven't done in a while.
Yes, that's our author's news. I've talked a lot about my author's journey. I am an agented author. My first book is on submission, and it's been on submission for a while, which is apparently normal. That's what people keep telling me.
Yes.
That said, I have, since my book has gone on submission, I've been able to publish several short stories. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think a couple of them have been published more than once. And recently, one of my spookier stories, which I don't consider to be like the perfect example of my writing. It was it was an experiment for me when I wrote it, and it's
this
very
is the
spooky.
Burning Man one,
yes,
right? Yeah,
yes.
That's not what you call it, but that's what I call him
because he catches on fire at like page 1. But the Sidewalk Man, that has recently been picked up by Southern Quill, which is a very popular literary magazine that is based in Utah. It's a university magazine, but it is one of these, like, they've published some big names in the past, and they've been around. I think they opened in the 50s.
Yeah, so they've been around for a long time.
Yes. And it's part of their annual magazine, which I thought it was part of their like quarterly or something, but this is their annual one. So there's only, they don't do a whole bunch of stories. So once I found that out, I was like, oh, that's
yay,
real big. Like, that makes me really happy.
That's right.
And I got my first invitation to a launch party. And, I'm hoping to have many launch parties in the future.
Right. That's right.
But the launch party for the 2023 issue of the Southern Quill. The celebration will be Wednesday, May 3rd at 6 o'clock. I would love to go and be a part of it, but
it's in Utah.
It's in Utah.
We're in Alabama.
We're in Alabama.
It's the middle of the work week.
Yes.
So it's
a very long way to drive. It's I can't afford those airplane tickets. Like, so many reasons. So many reasons that I can't go to the launch party, but I am really excited about it. And after the launch party, they are going to, kind of what every published author in their magazine gets, is they get a copy of the magazine, which is actually kind of pricey. Like, people pay good money for this magazine.
That's good.
And so they're going to send me my copy in the mail, which is awesome. And I will definitely show it off here. In the meantime, I want to do something a little different. So I like to talk a lot about my writing and my career, but I want to start giving what I can give some authors tips. I'm in a couple of writers groups, and I've noticed that the people tend to ask me a lot of questions, even people that I consider better writers than I am, because I have an agent. So if they think I'm decent enough to answer questions, then maybe I should start giving a few tips online. And I wanted to start today. This is a book that I've recently loaned to Becky because she was talking about starting her own author's journey, which is super excited, potentially.
Yeah.
You could tell how nervous you are.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of ideas.
She has a lot of great, brilliant ideas.
It's just getting them from the idea stage to the pen to paper stage, so to speak.
And I told her, if that is what you're worried about, you need to read this book. And I couldn't believe I hadn't talked about this book before. This is Save the Cat Writes a Novel. If you do screenplays, if you do plays, you know about a beat sheet. And that's where Save the Cat comes from.
Right.
But that same beat sheet can be applied to novel writing. And when I wrote my first book, I didn't know about this book.
Right.
I did kind of have a beat sheet because I had been a playwright and a screenplay writer before that.
Right.
But I didn't think about applying it to novels, which is kind of obvious, but I didn't. And when I was getting ready to write my second book, I knew there had been pacing issues in my first, so I was looking for a resource I could use to outline the book and get it written quickly and not have to deal with pacing issues.
Right.
So I picked this up, and it taught me how to outline my book. It has the basic Save the Cat beat sheet, but then it also puts them in genres, like the why done it genre, which is of course what I would use as a mystery author.
Sure.
And it sets out the beat sheet for that. It uses an example, I can't remember which example it used, but it uses popular novels as an example. And it explains a lot of things using like playwriting terminology, like Act 1, Act 2. And some of my notes in here are like about Chase Harlem and some are even about the book I was writing at the time. After I read this, I turned their beat sheet basically into my own personal file, like my own personal chart, and I outlined my next novel, which Becky can tell you, I wrote it a whole lot faster than I wrote Chase Harlem. It was like,
I couldn't believe it. It's like, here, I've got Outside of Paradise, and like, what is that? And then
we went that weekend to Fort Morgan, where the novel is set, and there's a big story plot that happens at the Fort Morgan. So Becky and I explored Fort Morgan. We're going around
and if you go to it's on the blog, getting it, that creepy video.
Oh yes, it's on our YouTube channel.
Oh, that was so creepy,
because Fort Morgan is supposed to be super haunted. I didn't see
one of the most haunted places in America.
Yes. But Becky and I were going around.
There, but
we went to see kind of where you could hide a body.
Yes. And you went to that place. I went down to the beach, and you went around to to
one of the outdoor, like that are in front of the fort.
Yeah, I forget what they call it, not barracks, but one of those Dearborn or something.
Very, very.
And the video had just. Anyway,
like
we're chasing squirrels now.
Anyway,
go back to not scary stuff.
So the whole time we were there, though, like we're exploring the fort, and occasionally Becky would be like, "Kayla, come look at this place. It'd be a great place to hide a body." And people are looking at us like
what?
Like, don't you think you could just shove one?
People are giving us strange looks.
Yeah, but it was a great experience. And after we did that, I went home and I filled out the outline based on Save the Cat. It's like, I call it my skeleton outline, because nothing is lengthy. It's all very short. I think I even let Becky look at it, and she was like, oh, okay. 2 months later, I had a novel.
Yes. And it was, and I loved it. It was a great novel. And, folks, I know y'all think, well, she'd say that to our mother-in-law. No, she'll tell you I'm pretty honest about stuff, because I want her to do well,
I know one of my short stories you read, and you were like, that scared me. I don't want to read it.
Yeah. I said, I can't read something like that.
She just kind of handed it back to me. And
no more.
But, I got that novel written, and when I sent it to my agent for notes, I got a lot less notes. And in fact, one of the compliments she gave me is that the pacing is perfect.
Yeah. And she said she read it in one night.
She read it in one night. The pacing was perfect. And it's actually like about 10,000 words longer than my first novel.
Which I couldn't believe it when you told me that.
Right. It's a lengthy book.
But it was a quick read.
Yeah. So I attribute that book, which, like I said, much better writing experience. And I felt that it was a much better outcome with less edits. And I attribute that to using this. So if you haven't used Save the Cat, if maybe you're planning your next novel and you need a little bit of help, maybe it took you 2 years to write the first novel, maybe you've never ever written a novel in your life.
Right.
Like, check out Save the Cat Writes a Novel. It's an easy read, but it's a fun read. And by the end of it, I was telling Becky earlier, once you kind of memorize this, every movie you watch, you will note the beats in it.
Yeah.
Bo kind of hates it now, because occasionally I'll lean over and I'll be like, this is the Dark Night of the Soul. I just want you to know what's about to happen. He'll be like, please don't tell me what's about to happen. Please stop. Like, any Marvel movie, I can just, here's what's about to stop it.
And I will say, and just from someone who's never written a novel, and it encourages you to take an idea that you have. So I like I said, I have many, but this one is, I love contemporary women's fiction. And so that is one of the ideas that I have, and I've kind of got a little outline going, and it's already in the first 14 pages, it's made me change. Like the main character was going to be a widow, but now she's going to be a divorcee, and there's a reasoning behind all that. So just all of that changed within just me reading the 14 pages. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about. So I think it's a great resource.
Absolutely. It really helps you kind of up the drama.
Yes, that was what she said. Yeah.
That's I mean, it's a great resource. So if you're looking for one and you haven't read this, I feel like every writer's group I'm in, like someone recommends this.
Right.
But if you are one of those who haven't, definitely check it out. I have it here. I think I have it on audio, and I have it on my Kindle as well.
And you can put the link in our blog, so people can find it easily.
So definitely check that one out. And if you want more writers' tips, more writers' news, please let us know, because this is something that we could make a weekly video. We just wanted to try something different this week. So.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.